Alexander Isak and Benjamin Šeško. Now, it's important to say, even with Isak today, Fabrizio Romano and even others are saying, yeah, absolutely, Liverpool are very much interested in this. So, it's another sort of exclusive that Sam seems to have had. Very different striker. So we'll start with Isak on this one. I mean, it's funny, Bart, that when you line up Isak and Alvarez next to each other, as we both talk about, they are completely different types of forward, striker, nine, whatever you want to describe it of. But both have 23 goals and 5 assists this season. So on top level retail stats, but they're so different. So I know we covered Isak, but it is important to call out, I think, for you, isn't it, the big differences between the two?
Yeah. Football's funny, isn't it? You can have different styles, but actually some of the top level numbers are exactly the same, right? Sometimes you're like, whoa, what has happened? But Isak is a different player to Alvarez, right? You only have to look at the same price. Look, this is the defensive ball. He's nowhere near what Alvarez was. Yeah, the blocks is in around, but in terms of tackles inception, he's not. Errors one is less, and clearances a little bit more. In between, he stacks up fairly well consistently. Yes, he's probably he's got a 0.719 on penalty goals. That's 95th percentile. That's his better than Alvarez, 100%. Right, the shot creating actions, that's 3.41. What was Alvarez? 3.38. They're very similar. That's very, very similar. All right. So there's little bits here and there where you're like, okay, I think it's fair to say Alvarez is more of a creator than Isak, as it's more of a finisher than not. And we've already done the comparison there, and there are things that Alvarez is better than Isak. But Isak, he's an older player, I think he probably is, isn't he? So I think my biggest concern with Isak, and you know what I'm going to say, is the minutes. But he's actually clocked up 2,000 Premier League minutes this season, which is he'll probably top his best. He has still picked up niggles. There's no getting away from it. He's also this season largely played. I mean, he's played 25 games. Alvarez has played that as well. But it's just Alvarez has played Champions League. So he's played League, Champions League, League, Champions League. Isaac generally has just played Premier League and the old cup game, wherever it is. So there's a difference there, right? Because some of the problems that players have, Naby had that when he moved from the Bundesliga to the Premier League. He's playing 2 top quality games a week. Not only playing twice a week, but playing top quality after top quality under pressure. And sometimes your body just can't do that. And I think the best predictor, if you can, is just pre-existing injury. Isak has had pre-existing injuries, and my big concern with this player is not his ability, right? You can't look at that and say, oh, he's not a rubbish player. But my worry is when we start asking him to play twice a week, as we've just done with the team that played five games in 15 days, we needed that player to play at the time. There's no real evidence there that he has got over the niggles that would prevent him from being able to do that. So that's my slight caveat with signing Isak. I think he's a great player. I think he's different to Alvarez. And I would, it's pure speculation, suggest that they are potentially level, but impacted by another decision that hasn't been major. Yeah. One is maybe if Mo stays, and one is maybe if Mo goes. Maybe. I don't know. I'm just saying. So, yeah, but I think would be a very good signing. I think both of you I said, they'd be good signings. But my worry with Isak is availability. Because you have to, as we've done this season, if you get your 80 to 85% of your starting 11 in every Premier League game, you will go far if not win the league, right? And we've done, I think we're about 80% of the season. So, and Arsenal haven't been able to do with that, and City don't even get me started on their percentages, right? So that is a fun. We have to be at availability. Talent is nothing without availability, right? So they have to be available if we're going to go for another title.
It's one of those, as you're saying it, I can't sort of debate that at all. And it's funny, as you said, just even on that surface level, the goals and the assists are exactly the same. But it is notable that, as you said, Alvarez has already played 11 more games this season. And in the minutes, it's around 300, isn't it, give or take? So, there is a distinct difference. And like you say, Alvarez has gone twice a week. Maybe you'd have that concern. I suppose it is important because I can see people are asking it in the chat. And by the way, I can't even keep up with your chat. So thanks for throwing those in. And you're even talking to yourselves or amongst yourselves as me and Bart's doing the preview. So answering each other. So do appreciate all the comments as ever that come in at Anfield Index. I suppose one that I pulled out there, and I think it's fair to ask, is there a bit for you, Bart, that, as someone mentioned in the chat panel, the one thing with Alvarez is, yes, that created the facilitator, but with Isak, more recent, doing it right now, and also someone makes a fair point that is a striker that seems to get the best, it's fair to say, of Konate and VVD in essence. He's scoring every game practically he plays on them. Does that sway you at all or bring it into the mix?
I think, yeah. By the way, I'm not. If we sign up to tomorrow, like, it's quality. There is a lot to be said for having the better of our centre halves. And it was a bonus when he didn't play at Anfield, right? So, and we beat them 2-0.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's an element of that. But I'd always try and take a step back from that. That's a bit Rodgers-esque. Signing a player because he played well against you is a bit Rodgers-esque for me. So, for me, the data makes a lot of sense. It's just the availability. And I know why one of the big pulls of him is he wants to play Champions League football. Alvarez has already played that and Premier League player level. So I think there's a distinction for me, but either would be potentially an upgrade on what I've got.
Benjamin Šeško. Now, we did run his numbers earlier in the season, and he's had a little bit of purple patches at times. It'd be interesting to see if these show up. So Sesko sits on 17 goals and 6 assists. So 23 goal contributions in all competitions. Does have Champions League goals, unlike Isak. So 4 and 8 there in that one. Again, we mentioned him before, Bart, when we were talking, that it's a weird one because people keep saying he has a release clause. But just to be clear, people, as Red Bull and the comms they put out came out, he doesn't have a release clause. What he did last summer was signed a new agreement, a new contract that had, as they called it in Germany, a gentleman's agreement, to use an English expression there, that he can leave for a certain fee. And it's based, funnily enough, which I know you will love, Bart, apparently it's based on certain metrics and how things are done and which club, etc. So it does feel very Red Bull, this type of agreement, shall we say. But there's things that maybe steered us away from Sesko a little bit. So let's just remind listeners what came up with Sesko.
Yeah. This is one of the ones I think I've said to you, I don't quite get it, right? And you know about this conversation. I mean, his minutes, it's not bad minutes. 1,800, it's an improvement for his previous season. Okay, fine. So he's ticking that box. Red Bull haven't had a great season though. They normally compete for the title. They've been way off the pace this year. So for him to do what he's doing, he's got 10 goals and 5 assists. But yeah, that's okay. We looked at that comparison though. To be fair to him, I said anything around 0.6 to 0.65 goals and assists is decent, right? So 0.72 per 90. That's something to say. Yeah, okay. We should be looking at this. All right. So that's just to give credit and be fair. That's where we are. But it's when you start looking at the percentiles and you sort of this is where I struggle with it. I know this is top level in this bit, but it's off the ball. Yeah, okay. But aerials and clearances, there wouldn't be things that I'll be saying, right, I'm going to go by a forward that can clear the ball and can head the ball away. It's just not something that I would be in my top bracket of metrics. These ones that we said are useful because it demonstrates that he can operate from a front pressing, but it's not high. Bearing in mind, Red Bull are a pressing team, like they are a pressing machine, and he's not put another number there. To be honest with you, Isak, who doesn't do a lot of the ball, is actually better in terms of one of these. So that's a little bit of a okay. If you look at where we are. So penalty box touches. I mean, Alvarez was low because he's more of a creator, should we say, and then makes a late run. This is 21st percentile. That's really low for a penalty box touches. Yeah. Chiesa got more than that in his time on the pitch again for 28 minutes against Newcastle in a game we played appallingly at. So this is his average for 90 penalty box touches. So there's a few little signs I'm like, is he the right fit for us going forward? Carries and take-ons, you've got to give him his credit. 83rd percentile for taking players on. Okay, cool. Passing it, he's only at 24th percentile, 66 pass completion. Now, I know we like our forwards to take a bit of a risk, but 70, we're normally in around the 70 mark, which is, and we just compared him to a lad who had 90, I think it was. What was Alvarez? Just to double check for Alvarez to give it 76. So, there's a bit of a difference there between a 10% difference. It could be quite big. Considering we have a lot of ball, we have a lot of volume of passes. 10% is quite a lot of passes, to be fair. And attempted, he's only 62, so he's not even attempting a lot of passes. Yeah. What's he doing in the box? You're right, 0.59 for actual, non-penalty goals, 84 percentile. That's very good, I'm not going to lie about it. But the rest of the attacking metrics, there's only, assists is 0.63, 63rd percentile. The rest of them are all below, around 50 or below. This is shot creating actions is 15th percentile. You compare him with Alvarez, who's 90th percentile, and you compare him with Isak, who's 91st percentile. So, even just looking at the shots, 3 for Isak, Alvarez, I think, was just below, was only 2.8.
Yeah.
Benjamin, shots, 2.6. So he's below. So there's a few, he's a notch below for me. I'm not sold on this one, to be honest with you, because whoever you put on top, they just absolutely dwarf him. And this is a year's worth of data, so it's not even, you can't even say it's slightly odd. It would be a surprise to me. It still would be a surprise to me. I know Sam Maguire's got phenomenal links, and I'm not knocking him. It'd be a real shock to me if Sesko was our pick to be number 9 this year. It really would be. I think there are other players. The quick forward that we did down the middle because with Ichak or he's very, very quick. Might be a way forward, but it would be. He does seem to be on the docket. Not gonna lie to you, but it would be a surprise to me if he was anywhere near the top 2 choices. To be honest.
It's funny, isn't it? Because we talked about this last time, because as the regular viewers all know, the great thing about sometimes when you're doing the Bundesliga players, you get all the physical data from the league. So we were able to see for an all-round physical specimen, if you want to say that, there's a lot to be impressed about with Sesko in terms of he's quick. He's very quick for his size in terms of his KMH as normal. So there was a lot to like on that. His height, as we say, his stature. And I've put it on the screen there because Mass A put Sesko is like Nunes, but without the blunders. In the sense of what you see there, Barts, in terms of we looked at the physical metrics earlier in the season, but being so far away, does that almost feel like I kind of think that a little bit? And I'll watch his highlights reel because also, as you can see on the screen there, people, the Bundesliga also put those, like, the highlights of each goal. I call him a bland merchant a little bit, Bart, as in he's a highlights reel player. He really does score some, like, from distance, power shots and power running, and everything seems to be about physical power. But in terms of what we want, this seems a big departure, doesn't it?
Yeah, this seems... This is... I mean... Isak and Alvarez are different players, right? But there are some similarities, as the graphs will show you. This guy is different to both those. And I think, what's the name? Mass said, we chatted a lot about how he can look a bit like Nunes, which worries me because it's we know that the Nunes profile hasn't worked for us. Like that's got some ability. I'm not start digging on him now, but it's not worth for us, right? We need a player that's got a full set of tools in front of goal, who can dink, bend, and blame it when you need to. But if you look at his highlight reels, you look at his finishes, this lad doesn't seem to have that. So I would be concerned that we would be repeating, trying to fix a problem we've got with exactly the same type of player. So yeah, that would be a concern of mine. I'm just going to do that. No. So yeah, I mean, he's not slow. 35 is pretty quick. You know, and if we have a 32 is quick. Number of sprints, 688. I think we worked that out. Is a decent amount of game. So yeah, there's a lot to like of him physically. And the scouts all look at every single game he plays. They look at his start to finish. They look at how he molds into the team. They might have an inside knowledge about how he is in terms of fit. You know, we have a big thing about the culture of the club and who we have, which is why people look down on Kuna, because he's shown he might not fit that. So yeah, there's some things, but for me, he's a long way down being a top choice for me.
Which is interesting because it comes to the last bit of the show, because it's probably dominated the chats panel. I can see as well people saying this player's better, we won't do this, etc. And I get all that, but we could only look at the metrics. As Bart said before, it's not our money, and who knows what exactly will happen this summer. And maybe it's sort of defined, as Bart said, by who goes to who might come in the first place. I mean, in terms of, and let's talk rankings, and we've looked at a lot of forwards and we've seen a lot of profiles, Bart. This is important to say. For you right now, this may be the simplest question I'm about to ask you. Sesko, is he even below the players we've looked at, like Kuna, Pedro, Ekitike? Would he sort of make your top 5 shortlist, or just based on physical alone, could he get in there? How are you seeing Sesko right now?
I have to be honest. I would much rather sign Kuna or Pedro than Sesko. I mean, Pedro's a bit like injuries here and then niggles, but for me, he profiles. If you look at that bottom end of the list, yeah, I would pick either of those. I mean, Kuna, we did a pod last time, and I was blown away to this interview. And the more I thought about it, the more I thought he could fill more positions for us. He could play the 9, he could play the 10, he could play left wing. I thought that was a phenomenal sign. And then he did that stupid thing where he was playing pads, or ball, it was. But so apart from that disciplinary element, Kuna will all day long over Sesko. So I mean, I've just pulled up there. This is Nunes in blue. I mean, Nunes is better than Sesko on a lot of those metrics. Davis is a little bit, but defensively they're about the same. Yeah, Nunes tackles better off the ball. But the shape's very similar, which scares me a little bit. So yeah, I would, if we're going to move on from a forward, I personally would be buying one that's got similarities. So yeah, for me, Pedro and Kuna will be above Sesko.